Hello and welcome to a presentation on cloud construction intelligence and productivity and analytics and the savings it can offer your company. Pentagon have 3 offices across the UK and Ireland. The key focus areas highlighted here allow us to deliver industry-leading technology, expertise and insights, and subsequently offering great efficiencies and savings to your business. Our market-leading construction intelligence solution has been developed following many years' experience and success working in these sectors. Up on screen are just a few of the challenges our customers have faced and indeed have asked us to address for them, which of course we have successfully managed to do so with, again, our construction intelligence solution. This quote from a customer using the modules within their business over a short period of just 6 months and just a few projects highlights the massive time and money savings construction intelligence offers you.
Okay, thanks Dave. Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about construction, or this can be, it doesn't just apply to construction industry, it can apply to projects as well, all types of projects for the next 10-15 minutes, and then I'm going to hand you over to James. What we want to look at is what do we actually want to measure, or as we would say, what do we want to manage as part of that process? And there's 3 key areas. We want to look at volume, how much work is being produced by staff or a team or a project over time. How long does it take the individual, the task team or the project team to actually produce that level of work? And how good is that work? What's the quality aspect like from a deliverable perspective? So if you think about this, each metric alone here, we can actually then get a benchmark of what the expected targets actually are. So if we have individuals or a team, and as long as we're measuring information in a consistent way, this allows us to identify actual averages in here, so we can actually understand who's above the norm and who's below the norm from project delivery. Now, the metrics alone, they just don't provide the answers, but they help us understand what questions we need to ask about the project, and that can determine the shortfalls or where we need to improve from an overall process perspective. But then we need to define our metrics in here. So each business will be very much different. So we've got members in the private industry and public sector in here. So you need to define what's the unit of measurement. You know, is it linear meter? Are we looking at earthworks in here? What type of output do we have as part of that? What frequency do we need to consider? So how often do we need to capture these metrics? Is it daily? Is it twice a day? Is it once a week? And what's the quality measure as part of this? Is it to do with file naming? Is it to do with our systems connected? Do they have the appropriate naming in the system as part of that? So we need to look at the quality metrics as part of that. But equally so, when Dave hit on earlier on, we need to integrate with other systems. So we've got systems like SAP, we've got asset integration, we've got common data environments, which are data rich. How do we integrate with these actual systems as well? So some early challenges we came across is we've got multiple authoring applications in use. So if you think about all the BIM authoring applications, CAD applications, Office applications that you actually have in there. So we wanted to identify common attributes across all these applications. And then because of that, we could then constitute what actually is productive time for every user in that environment. And by doing this, that means all that harvested information we can actually capture in a dashboard environment. So we can look at the likes of productivity, what's being produced, the volume in there, how long it's taking, and what's the quality of the output. What are the are there any main challenges with it as well? To give an indication of some of the outputs, we can measure how long a task team's taken to produce outputs based on actual data. So it's not on a user's interpretation of a timesheet. Say, I think I spent 4 hours on that today. It is exact. It's based on the files that they worked on, and it will give it exactly how many, what their actual output was for the day. We can measure the quality of all outputs. We're not just looking at 10%, 20%. We're looking at the quality of all the outputs in there. We can track issues related to the project real time. So constraints or punch list items in there that can be tracked in against the project. It can be tracked in against the model environment. So we can cease weekly data reports and compilation. So it's all automated through a dashboard. You don't need to sit down for 2-3 hours with a team to work out where we are on an actual project. Erroneous data is automatically identified. So if a user names a file incorrectly, it will get picked up. So, you know, if a user was working on CPD, say through LinkedIn Learn, anything like that, it gets picked up through the dashboard that could be filtered out. So all user activities actually captured. And this put in a single interactive dashboard. It could be presented to senior management, middle management, or at the user level as well to see progress. We can connect the data to common data environment as well, so to create visualization. So because CDEs are very rich, they can actually get tied into the federated model. So if we wanted to see that work in progress files are being released by mistake, again, that can all be visualized as well as part of that. In one particular case, we are able to look at legacy data just because of how the system was actually used. So we're able to data mine 8 years of legacy data. We used that information. We knew how long the projects actually took, how many users were involved in it, and that actually gives the client predictability for the future. So you can, as David said earlier on, you can actually look at future costs and predictability in there. So I've got 4 quick slides here I'm going to show before I hand you over to James. And this is a customer sample. This is a contractor in Dublin. Essentially, they had 4 modules that they actually used for what they called their construction intelligence process. So the first one they had was a BIM portal. Now, it was called BIM portal to them, but for anyone else, it could be project portal, construction intelligence portal. And essentially, this was a central data point on the Azure servers where users could log in, BIM managers could log in, coordinators could log in, they could log issues related to the projects, they could see their dashboards, they could do punch list items. So multiple users could log into the environment. You could look at qualities and constraints very quickly without the need to go into CAD applications. So users didn't have access to CAD applications, or nor did they need to. They could actually see this very quickly through the dashboard. And the reports were presented very simply and visually. So it integrates with Microsoft Azure as well, which is a single sign-on. So that gives the dashboard environment, and James will talk about that a wee bit more. From a user level, we have an activity logger that could be recording, this could be recording what 5 users are doing, 10 users or 200 users throughout multiple sites and locations. And this essentially tracks activity. It knows exactly what file the user's working on, it knows the file, it knows what project that's related to, and it tracks all active time. Because there is a difference between the user's working hours in many ways and the user's actual productivity hours. So it's installed in all the user's PCs. It actually accumulates and records cumulative time spent on CAD applications, or it could be Microsoft applications or BIM authoring. And that's synchronized for every single user back to the server. The third module is they had an issue logger built into the Navis interface. So we wrote in the API that was able to track issues. So all this information, multiple users would feed into it, and they could have multiple versions of Navis open over different sites, and all that information gets centralized through Azure. So all the issues could be tracked real time back to the project. I would actually tie into like the viewport, what the rendered images, and you could go through the actual tracking process as well as part of that. The final module in there was quantities. They could get quantities at a single touch of a button. And it wasn't really for the quantity output that we're looking at. Because we know what files the users are actually working on, we're looking at model regression. So what has changed from last week, or what's changed over the past couple of days? So every bit of progress throughout the project, if we want to break it down to days, quarters, or months, that's actually getting captured at an individual level, again at a team level, and a project level. And James will be able to show that. So it's not just about overall getting quantities, it's actually getting model progression and how the project is progressing over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you over to James Heron, who's going to take you through some of the dashboards, and he'll close out the presentation with us. James?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to give you control here.
Yep. Perfect. Hope everyone can hear me okay. Yeah, I'm just going to go through some of the sample outputs that we've created in the past for previous customers, just to give you a flavor of once we've gathered all this rich data and we can aggregate it in one place and produce these visuals that'll give customers valuable insights into their projects, into their users' activities. So I'm gonna talk about dashboards at sort of three levels. First of all, if we start at the top level, sort of executive level, this is a sort of a single dashboard for a project. All these dashboards are built the same way. We have a filter which allows me to change between multiple projects that are being captured. So everything with a sort of an orange icon there is a filter that can be applied, but these are basic statistics. That's the total time that's been spent, billable hours. This is the active hours. This is the total length of systems that's been produced, and that was the last date that those systems were measured. We were also capturing how many issues have been raised and how many issues are still open at this point in time. So this is a snapshot point in time. In terms of productivity, we've got a sort of an aggregated score, and this is the target score, so how the comparison between total time and active time. Then we're looking at what percentage of the project's actually being completed. And in terms of quality, again, we've got a simple metric that we're aiming for. Our target is 0.5 open issues per 100 meters. And then a quick snapshot of the total time spent on the project over time, and this is the aggregated model build over time as well, total outputs. This visual is trying to give an idea of what the distribution of hours is based on a sort of a heat map idea, and similarly QA issues, how many issues have been opened on a given day in a sort of a heat map theme. Okay, so if we go down a level from that, so that was the executive level. This is more aimed at the sort of middle management. So I want to drill down a bit further. This is now aiming at user productivity. So again, we have some filters at the top. We can filter by project like before. This time our users are based on a particular site, so we can filter by that. And then there's the employees related to that particular project. And we've got some date filters at the bottom. So all these are interactive with each other, so we can switch between projects, the users update. And over in the grid here, we've got sort of a list of all the users who are involved in that project, total time spent, total active time. And from that, we're calculating what's the total productivity. So if we adjust the date range, you'll see the graph will update, the grid will update based on the activity during those periods. If we want to filter down by user, we can click on a nominated user and we can start to get an idea of that user's activity over that period of time. Now we have some anomalies there which you can go back and investigate. But the green bars are total time on site and the red bars are the active time for that same collection of users. And then we can see the files that were worked on by those users. So if we click on a particular user, that file list will update. So we have clear visibility on how much time has been spent, what files have been worked on, and what the estimated productive time over that period has been, whether it's a single user, multiple users, or across the entire project. So another method to try to visualize what sort of activities have been happening on a project. Again, I'm going to start off, we've got our filters top and bottom here. We've got a project filter. And this is trying to visualize the total time spent, the activities that have been spent, and the colors represent different processes, different applications. And again, we can adjust that by date. So suppose at this stage we're trying to see what colors don't fit into the overall theme. So we can see this is a Navisworks application, and then we've got Revit as the sort of the black bar, and then we've got CAD applications down at the bottom. And over here we've got all our users, same as before, and this time we're trying to theme the total time spent collectively across the entire project. So dark colors are more time, light colors are less time, but you can kind of see here we've got a couple of anomalies that would maybe require some further investigation. Okay, moving on then. This was indicated on the first slide where we had a measurement of the, we're trying to capture the change in the federated model over time. So again, we've got our projects that we can filter by. We have all the files associated with that project. We can filter by those as well. And these are the sort of the subcomponents of the file. In this case, it's the systems or the zones within the model. So every time we filter one, it affects all other filters. So we can kind of see there's maybe some anomalies there we need to go back and check. But this is every time a snapshot's been taken of the model, we're checking what's changed. We're also recording what issues have been logged throughout. And at user level, again, we mentioned capturing quality. So same idea, project filters. This time we've got more filters. We can filter by date, range, start and end date. We can filter by, this is a sort of a bar chart showing all the issues that were logged, opened and closed by week. We can filter by who logged the issue, what sort of issue was logged, and what's the issue status. The source file that the issue was identified in, how many issues have been raised in total and how many issues are still open. And then we have this summary chart which shows all the issue types by status. So we can see most issues in this particular project related to supports. But luckily we can see at a glance that most of them are closed. If we want to understand what was happening in a given week, we can click on the graph. We can see issues by status, issues by type, and issues by stage. And lastly, if we wanted to drill down even further, we're capturing a lot of information about the models themselves. So this is a process can be automated because it's been done in a systematic way. So with multiple files associated with a project, we could drill down by individual file. We can take a snapshot of the file size. Does it comply? Green means yes. Number of warnings. Amber means it's sort of on the, it's in between purgeable elements, loadable families, views. These are simple pass-fail criteria. Number of spaces and linked files and rooms inside the model that have been unplaced. You get an overall score. The color gives us an indication whether it's good or bad. And then the total number of elements, we're setting at a top threshold there of 25,000, so we're good for that. And then unconnected systems, ducts, electrical, piping systems that are in the model that aren't belonging to a particular system. And then our views, these are all standard checks that we can perform. Views with not on a sheet, views with no template, and so on.
Hi James, you hear me there?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was just the finally saying there, but that can actually be integrated into Vim 360. Many of you may be using that. So those project dashboards and such, that model validation process can be added in as part of that. I do realise that we've covered an awful lot of ground, today as part of that. And I suppose one question really is to ask, was what do you need to manage as part of the business?
Thank you, David and James, for your excellent overview on areas where our customers are seeing fantastic savings and efficiencies. Here is just a quick summary and a few of the key deliverables our solution offers to increase business and profitability for your company. Thank you again for taking time to watch our introduction to construction intelligence. If you want to understand in greater detail how it can address your own challenges and fit your business, then please do reach out to myself, David Curry, using the contact details supplied. Thank you very much again, and I look forward to talking soon. Bye-bye.